Good afternoon to you all, and welcome if you're joining us live this afternoon or if you're catching us later on replay. This afternoon, I'm really pleased to be joined by Karen Revell. Now, you may remember that Karen joined us, I think, 2 weeks ago now, Karen?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
And we did a brilliant interview talking about wealth mindset and all those really interesting things that underpin how successful we could be in our businesses and how successful we are in generating wealth. Now, one thing that came out of that interview was wealth dynamics. Now, I've heard of wealth dynamics, but I admit to knowing almost nothing about it at all. And quite a few people mentioned that they would really love to know more about it. So Karen's joining us again this afternoon to talk to us specifically about wealth dynamics and how they deeply affect the path we take and how financially successful we'll be on that path. I'll probably sum that up really badly, Karen. So
no, that's fine.
How about I hand over to you to tell us what it really is?
Yeah, so Wealth Dynamics is a profiling tool, but it's specifically for entrepreneurs. It was designed specifically for entrepreneurs, and that's why I think it's become so popular in this field. But it's really about exactly what you just said, Serena. It's about finding your natural path to success, because I think we see a lot of people out there being successful, but they're all doing it in different ways. And, you know, what we do know is that the most successful people follow their strengths. And in schools, we're just all taught to learn skills, and we think it's our skills that is what people are buying. But the value lies in not just what we do, but how we do what we do. And when we start looking at our underlying strengths and talent, then we will find a pathway that's right for us, and a pathway that feels just more enjoyable, more uplifting, easier. And this is what we call flow. You know, it's that moment where you get like really engrossed in something, and you know, just time just disappears. That's what we're kind of looking for in our business. And this is the beauty of, well, it is of all, I suppose, profiling tools of understanding ourselves and how, you know, how we can work better. But I think like I say, in this one, you are actually, this is actually designed for entrepreneurs and business owners.
That sounds incredible, because so many of these tools are like things like your Myers-Briggs, which is much more, I suppose, management leadership generic, and that entrepreneur specific thing is so unique to us, isn't it, in terms of how we think and how we're driven and the goals and aspirations we've had and the degree of control we actually have over our lives.
Yeah.
And I love the idea that we could be in flow, and that would be the natural way to make more money and be more successful.
Yeah. So if I can, I'd just like to start with a couple of concepts to put it into context. So any business has two key challenges to start with. The first one is sustainability, i.e. it's right to exist, you know, in the marketplace. And for that, it needs to provide value. Okay, obvious. And then the second challenge is, once it has that sustainability, it needs to grow. And that is all about how to leverage that value. Okay, so we've got these two key pieces of how do we provide value and how do we leverage that value. And if you think about it, I mean, we all hear that phrase in business, like you've got to know, like, and trust the business, the person, whatever. And trust, the concept of trust comes about when you can consistently be relied upon. And it's the word consistent that is really important here, because we can all work hard and do something well. Okay, and we can do that for a short period of time, but to be able to do it consistently, we need to be doing something that both we love, we feel passionate about, and we're naturally good at, because otherwise it's just going to be too hard. We won't be able to keep up the momentum. Okay, really, so yeah, so value and comes or is measured by trust, if you like, okay. And that trust comes from knowing our natural talent and our underlying strengths, because, like I say, we can be consistently relied upon. And then we've got leverage, So this is about how can we do more with less, or with not having to work harder. And again, so this is about how can we increase our level of productivity and keep our energy up. But also in terms of business, there's two ways of leveraging. There's either you can multiply, i.e. create more of the same thing and use efficiency of scale to do that, or you can magnify, which is about making it more complex and more unique, and making it like one, and then the value is raised through that. And again, sort of leverage is measured by flow. It's like that. What is that? Either efficiency or is that increased productivity? And when we come back to individuals, again, the only way we're going to have that increased productivity and that increased flow is when we're focusing on our talents. So this is why our talent is at the core of what we do. And when we understand that, and we were just chatting before this, it's like, we see so many blueprints out there of, you can follow this way to success. And all of them are right, but are they right for you? And it's only worth following a mentor who's got some specific way of doing something, that if you are similar to them in your talent or wealth dynamic. So that's the kind of underlying reason, if you like, of really focusing on your talents and your strengths, so that it's easier for you, and you're more likely to create success because you're going to enjoy it. It's going to be easier for you to do, more consistent, to stick at it, all of those things, and it's more fun. And you want to come home at the end of the day be feeling more energized. You know that difference between like when something really drains you and when something uplifts you. I am always saying to my clients, it's not about time management, it's about energy management. And you'll notice what lifts you up. You can have a day that's really busy, but if you come home and finish it and you're like really uplifted, you were probably in flow.
Yes. Like I had a day yesterday, I was at my desk at 7:00 for a coaching call, didn't finish till about 5:30, 6. Yeah. That would normally be far, far too long for me, but it was such a brilliant day.
Yes.
I just sailed through it, and it's like, that was interesting.
Yeah. And that's a sign of you being in flow. Yeah.
So it's less about this push, struggle, hustle, and more about, I suppose, finding things that feel easy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I was saying before about the path of least resistance. This is what flow is. If you think of a river flowing down a mountain, it is that path of least resistance.
But do we have a problem with that as entrepreneurs, though? Do we think it should be hard? Do we feel we've got to be hustling and pushing because of what we're
I think there is a lot of people out there that promote the hustle. I think we generally, as human beings, feel, we've been taught that we've got to work hard to get anywhere. Sorry, Serena, I've got a real feedback on this. Is it coming through on you?
Let me just turn my speaker down a bit. Is that any better?
It's when yes, that's better. So it might have been just okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just didn't know if it was coming out or to the people.
Thanks for saying that.
But so this whole idea of hustle, I mean, when you're starting a business, obviously there's quite a lot of work to do. And it's like with any project, the first bit, it's like a plane taking off, isn't it? It's like that first bit, there's a lot more effort, and then you can start sort of cruising a bit more. But I don't know. I think we've got, as a society, we've kind of really got bought into like, you've got to hustle and get through. And I personally I really repel all of that. I don't know about you, but I did all of that in my corporate career. I did come into business to do the same thing again. For me, it was more of a lifestyle choice. And I'm not saying that is for everyone, but there are an awful lot of people coming into business as a lifestyle choice. They want that time, freedom, and to control, how they spend their time and, what their day looks like. And if you're then being told you've got to hustle and do the grind and all of that, really, no, I don't think, You know,
what I love about what you're saying here is not, because people get kind of dismissed or looked down on for like, oh, have you only got a lifestyle business? But people come into business because they do want that freedom and that lifestyle change. But if you're in flow and doing the right things, it doesn't mean you're settling. It doesn't mean you're not striving or you're ambitious.
Yes.
It means that you're doing what you find easy and what you're in flow with.
Absolutely. And I think that is really the key. And it's taken me a long time. You know, it was wealth dynamics that helped me discover this. And I wish I'd known about this in my corporate career, because like actually going back, I can look back at now of like my team and seeing people of all the different profiles and how it would have been easier to have got a lot of them working more to their potential, knowing this, as well as perhaps a better team. But I think, you know, anyone who has come from that corporate route, and I know not everyone has, but we're so used to being shoehorned into a job description. And I think most people are coming into business because they want that freedom, but they want to create their own job, if you like. You know, the business is to fit them. And this is what wealth dynamics can help you do. It's about, you know, understanding who you are and how you provide value, and doing it in a way that's you know, easy for you. So yeah,
brilliant. So you talked about those underlying concepts, and what are these the types that sit within the wealth dynamics model then? Okay,
so we have so wealth dynamics is basically, if you look at it as a square, I know you've got it in the banner advertising this, so people can see that it's a square first of all. And what we have is we have an action dynamic and a thinking dynamic. Okay. And we're all somewhere across the continuum of each. Okay. So if you take the thinking dynamic first, we are either more introspective or intuitive, or we are more sensing and take it in from our surroundings.
Okay.
And if you mentioned Myers-Briggs, if you are looking at that, it is the S&N part of Myers-Briggs. It's a similar sort of thing. Myers-Briggs goes into, you know, there's 4 different types, and it's gets quite complicated. But and this is one of the beauties, I think, of wealth dynamics, is actually if you don't feel like you've come out right, the right profile, it's very easy to actually find which one is right for you. So or you are the right one. So whereas I find Myers-Briggs, if you're not sure, if you don't feel this one's right, fits you, there's like so many of them, it's like, I don't know, where do I go from here? But yes, so there's a thinking dynamic. So you're either more likely to be head in the clouds, blue sky thinking, always coming up with ideas, really fast to get started, get excited about new projects, all of that sort of thing. Okay. Or at the other end, you're much more grounded, you're slower to make decisions, you want to weigh things up. You just it's kind of like you've got your ear to the ground, but you know what's going on, you know what needs to be dealt with right now. You just sense everything. So, and like I say, very few people are completely 100% one end or the other. You're somewhere in between. So in the square, we've got this axis going from top to bottom. And then there's our action dynamic. So how do we get into action? And is that through people, or is it through process and data? So some people will immediately think of like, oh, well, who can help me with this? Who can I talk to about that? Who's going to, support me with this? Or who can I get to actually do some of this for me? Whereas some other people will be looking at the data and the facts and, you know, they'll get very analytical about it. What's this information telling me before they make a decision about what they're going to do next? Does that make sense?
It does. And I was just thinking of, a client came to mind with the several directors, and thinking if they actually understood each other's dynamics, that would be incredibly helpful to them in actually running their business, because I can see
Yeah.
just what you've said there. I can see there's some real conflicts that actually explains.
Yeah. And this is the other thing about wealth dynamics, I feel, is that if you can understand, even just at this level, there's actually 8 profiles, but even just at this level, understanding these different types of thinking and how you get into action, you can start seeing it in other people and realize that your communication or your leadership style or whatever can change to suit them. So, and even just by me mentioning those 4 elements, most people kind of get a feel for which thinking style they're more of and which action style they're more of. Okay, so I don't know, Serena, would you be like, if I said that, what would you say is like
Head in the clown's ideas, and I'm always looking like, who can help me get this done?
Yeah.
Like, well, who can do that? Who can do that? How can I get this done faster?
Yes. Yeah. So, and that doesn't surprise me. So, I'm guessing you're a creator profile, but we'll come on to that. So you've got the dynamos at the top. We call them dynamos, and at the bottom they're tempos, grounded. And then at the side, we've got the blaze energy for the people and the steel energy for those that are more process and data driven. Okay. And this is really where the profile links back to, I mean, this profiling tool links back all the way to the I Ching, which is over 5,000 years old, the Book of Changes. So there's a lot of wealth of information behind it. You know, it's not just something that someone's just come up with.
Yeah.
There's got a lot of depth behind it. But also these 4 actually link to the seasons of time. So the dynamos are actually they're linked to the spring energy. So if you think about it like that, it's actually the energy of a dynamo is all that, new ideas, new shoots, like just starting out. The blaze energy is summer. It's the warmth of dealing with people all the time. You've got the tempo energy is spring. It's also the element of earth. Like I say, it's very grounded. It's slowing things down. And then you've got steel, which is the metal element, and it's the energy of winter, where it's time to pause and rethink and analyze what it is before you start the cycle again. And this is important, maybe not so much with small business owners, but it is important for when you look at your teams, because people lead at different stages of team development. And also businesses are successful. You know, all businesses, we've got the ebb and flow of success. It's not like it's always like this. It's an ebb and flow. And actually different businesses within an industry will peak at certain times. And so will industries will go through these cycles. So it's also important to know this, and then knowing who are the best people to lead at those times. So, but that's more depth into it, so we won't go into that. So then, just briefly, there are then 8 profiles. So we've got the 4, like the top, bottom, and 2 sides, but then we've also got a profile at each corner. So if I start off just very briefly and go round them all. So the one at the top is the dynamo energy, the most dynamic energy, and that's what we call the creator profile. And like I say, they are the ones that are either always coming up with new ideas, they're very inventive, or they're very strategic. But they've got a lot of depth of vision. They can really see the future, see what things are coming across the horizon. And then, like I said, they'll come up with new ideas, and they're the ones best to get things started. And they're very boom, 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 like let's get going. The challenges for the creator is that they often don't bring everyone with them, especially if they've got a team. They can leave their team behind because they're too fast for them. And they're very good at creating chaos, but they're also very inventive of getting out of the chaos as well. But sometimes for them, you know, they just have this intuitive, like gut hit of something, and they're off with it and off and running, and they're wondering why no one's coming with them, and they're just too fast. Or the other challenge for creators is that they start one project, and then before they get, a third of the way in, they've started another one, and then they've started another one, and they've got these new ideas, and they're always starting projects. They're just not good finishers at all. So that's a creator profile.
Now, given that's probably a lot of entrepreneurs will identify with that one, I think.
Yeah.
How does knowing that help them? Because I guess a lot of that, let's say the creating of chaos can be quite bad for generating long-term wealth, can't it?
Well, if you think of someone like Richard Branson, okay, he was a creator profile. And yes, I think you're right, Serena. What we kind of typically think of as an entrepreneur is someone like that. But I would argue in this day and age that we can all be entrepreneurs, but it is about finding the right role model for you. But Richard Branson, he's got hundreds of companies. And one of the things that he has said is what he knows his zone of genius. He knows that it is about starting companies. But the first thing he does is recruit someone to run it for him. Yeah. And he knows where his zone of genius is. And that's why he's so successful, because he doesn't try to then run the company or build a team or focus on the customer service and all that. He's all about the startup process.
Right.
Okay. And which is why also we think of that as a typical entrepreneur. But Bill Gates is another creator profile. But they're the ideas people, and they'll get things started. But Bill Gates didn't run his company. It's like we have to understand that you may not be the best person to run that.
Yes.
And this is why building a team around you of other people with different strengths to support you is the best way forward. Okay. So then the next one round is the star profile. So we're going clockwise around the square now. So the next one round is the star profile. And this is a mixture of that dynamo energy and that blaze energy. And these people are your best promoters. They love to be in the limelight themselves, but they also shine a light on people, on a product, on a mission, whatever. So they really are the best promoters out there. They inspire people to follow them. They really are. So Oprah Winfrey is a good example, or David Beckham. They are the brand. Mm-hmm. Okay. And people follow them because they kind of buy into their energy and their shining light. They are that star. Okay. Yeah. But it's not always about them. They are good at shining the light on others as well. And again, very intuitive, like to create, but are really people focused. The next one is the supporter profile. I have a lot of people saying, I don't want to be a supporter. I don't want to be a number two. But a supporter profile is like a cheerleader. These are actually your best people managers. They are your team leaders. They're very motivational, but they tend to put other people first. So they're always saying, it's not me, it's the team. They're really good at that. Their challenge is they're not so good. They need a plan to operate. They need someone to kind of give them a plan to operate first of all. But once they've got that, they know what they're doing. They're great at building that team and getting people connected up. They're also good at sales because they're really good at having those conversations with people. And another challenge for the supporter is that they can just go off and chat to everyone and lose track of time and what they're doing. So they need to be reeled in a bit sometimes, Then we have the deal maker. So the deal maker is the great connector. And they are very good at seeing opportunities where they can bring people together and they can make money out of that. And probably the best person to describe this is Donald Trump, although we won't go where he is now. But he built his business on actually of negotiating the deals. You know, he brought the people together and took a cut out of that, and really built his business that way. So a deal maker, like I say, all about bringing people together. They, again, are very people focused. They're the people that are always going out for lunch. You know, they're getting, when we talk about the old boys network, that is kind of a typical deal maker type of strategy. It's like, we'll just meet for lunch and we'll have a chat. And before you know it, some big deals happened out of that, whatever. So that's their sort of strategy. Then you've got the trader profile, who's the full sort of tempo. Now, traders are, like it says, they're great in the moment. They are people who love, they're your best people in an emergency. They're your best firefighters. They can really do it. And if you think of a trader on a trading floor, that's what they're really good at, responding in the moment. But these people are quite slow in getting into action. They kind of need something to respond to. They need that fire to happen. Or that.
Is that people who say, I work best with a deadline? I can only take action.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes they can be a bit indecisive, and or I find they can make a decision and then they can change their mind later because something else has happened, and that's which some people find frustrating. Like I say, they can be slow to get started, and they cannot work from a blank sheet of paper. They can't come up with an idea. Okay, they need something to trigger everything all the time, but they're really good, and they're also the best at customer service as well.
Okay.
Then you've got your accumulators. Now, your accumulators are much more organized, so that they've got that tempo energy, they're more grounded, but they've also moving into that steel energy where it's much more analytical. So these are really good organizing everything. They're your best project managers. They'll keep everyone on time, to task, very orderly, very structured, but they don't like being rushed, and they're very deliberate in their thinking, and it can be hard to get their thinking out sometimes and get across their message because everyone else has moved on, but when they do come out with something, it's going to be like really considered and really valid. And an accumulator, I mean, the best example of that is Warren Buffett, who, unlike a trader who was like dealing in small trades all the time, Warren Buffett built his fortune by investing for the long term. He would choose companies to invest in and really study them and go for the long term. Then we have the Lord, who their best strategy is generating from holding on to assets, again, for the long term, but they're really into the detail. These people are your best analysts, researchers. They'll make all their decisions based on the data. And sometimes they can forget people. Sometimes they can come across a bit cold because they're not really into the people. But like I said, they're very data focused, but it's very pragmatic. It's very analytical, research based. And then finally, you've got the mechanic, which is a mixture of that steel energy and also that creative energy. And they are the best at improving systems or coming up with new ideas to overlay existing ways of working and improving things all the time. And the best example I can give of that is Jeff Bezos of Amazon, who's taken a bookshop and then added a system to it, and then has created Amazon and everything that's come out of that. So when you look at it like this, we can start seeing that there are lots of different paths to wealth. And your business and the business model that you use, and for me, even your marketing strategies and that, should be based on where you sit on the square, what profile are you, and therefore what strategies and what business model are going to help you the most. So a really typical example would be in marketing would be, everyone says, if you're on Facebook, open a Facebook group. A free Facebook group, It's great if you're a blaze energy, because you'll just love it in there every day. If you're a steel energy person, that's the worst thing you could do. Excuse me.
Given that marketing is mission critical to business success and therefore to wealth, have you ever heard a marketing company say, what would suit you? No, I haven't ever.
No,
you must do this, you should do this.
Yeah,
rather than going, because you're right, because look at that consistency that you talk about won't be there.
No,
if we're trying to do marketing things that are going against our type.
I know when I started out in my business, okay, so I am a trader profile. Okay, so I'm at the bottom of that square. All the mentors I invested in the beginning when I started out in my business were all either creators or stars. So they're the opposite to me. Now, there is benefit from that. You can learn different things and you can get pulled along and that. But for me to try and implement those types of marketing or build my business in that way just took me out of flow. And then people will say, oh, yeah, but it's just the fear. You've got to feel the fear and do it anyway. And all of that.
I hate that.
But again, you're going back to this pushing and striving all the time because you're trying to do something that is really out of flow for you. Whereas if you are doing strategies that are in flow for you, I mean, yes, we all have to do things that we're not so good at or we don't like at times. But the more time you can spend in flow for you, the more you will enjoy your business, the more you will show up consistently, and the more it will grow, the more success you will have. And that's the beauty of understanding your wealth dynamics.
I've heard things like that said before in terms of, oh, well, you've got to enjoy the journey, you've got to be in flow. But they're just words.
Yes.
This is saying, and it's a little bit like the strengths finder thing, where you actually know what you're good at and focus on those rather than trying to compensate for weaknesses. But this is fundamental, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Because when we're always pushing and forcing and going against things that feel difficult and really are alien, they're rubbing us up the wrong way inside, aren't they?
Absolutely.
We're going against who we are.
And the problem is, Serena, is because it's so hard, we then start losing confidence because we don't feel we're good enough, or or there's something wrong with us or whatever, and then eventually we can give up. And yet, just by knowing that you are where you are on the square, and you shouldn't be doing, if like for me, I shouldn't be like a Richard Branson. I shouldn't be starting things. That's not the best way for me to work. But that doesn't mean to say I can't create a business. I can't be successful in business. I just need to do it in flow with my profile. And that is the beauty of wealth dynamics.
So all the people who are out there hustling, going against their natural type, wondering why it's so hard, why isn't it working? That could be why.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because you're not going in flow with your natural skills and what feels easy to you. Wow. This could be, I mean, everyone should know this.
Absolutely. It was a game changer for me. And that's why I utilize this now, because I just think that, like I say, too many people give up on their business because they're trying to do it that's not the right way for them. And yet just with some understanding and some tweaks, it could be a complete game changer for you.
Oh, I'm fascinated by this.
So that's wealth dynamics in a complete nutshell. There's like loads more, but obviously, given the time. But I think that hopefully that'll give everyone an overview of what it is and why it's so important. So
I think it's one of the most important ideas I've heard in a long time, Karen.
And that's why I say, I think for entrepreneurs or business owners in general, it's been designed for you, and it's that's why I think it is so beneficial and become so well known.
And like you say, it's steeped in thousands of years of history and studying wealth through the ages, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
And because I think we see these things thinking, oh yeah, I want to be like Richard Branson, I want to be like them, but and then you spend years battling that route. Yeah. But if it's not the right route for you, it's not going to work.
Absolutely.
Or if it does work, it's going to be very painful.
And like I say, I'm not saying you can't do it exactly that, but it is that's where the hustle comes in. It's like, and it depends on your definition of hustle. There's busyness. You can be busy, but it's like we described earlier. It's like you can be busy but feel energized at the end of the day.
Yes.
Now, if you're going to call that hustle, well, yeah, that's okay because you're still busy. But if you're, and I think that sometimes is what people are describing, these people who are very busy, but they're in flow. So actually they're still energized. But if you think it's all about like pushing and striving and doing loads of work and just brings you down, it's going to make you ill at the end of the day.
Yes.
You know, you're going against your natural strengths. And like I say, I think, well, it's not just even in business. I think in schools, kids should be taught this as well. You know, because like I say, we focus too much on skills.
Yes.
Your skills should be there to support your strengths. When you know your strengths and your natural talent, then you get the skills in to help bring them up more. Whereas actually, we are taught to be quite good all-rounders. And it's interesting because I often find that when someone does their wealth dynamics profile who's been successful in corporate and they're new out of corporate into business, often their wealth dynamics profile is quite square. And it's because they've learned to be a good all-rounder. And then a year or so in, when they're starting to be more natural in their business, you know, then it will start shifting a bit to actually who they really are. Whereas it was distorted in the beginning because they've learned so many skills in all the areas and they've become good at all of them. But it's, you know, we can all be high achievers, or, you know, some people can be high achievers, but again, it's going to make you ill in the long run if you just keep pushing like that all the time.
Wow, this is so fascinating. Thank you so much for that oversight. And I appreciate that's a very brief kind of gallop through it, but I think there's so much food for thought there. So if I wanted to find out, Karen, what my dynamic is and what my profile is, how would I do that with you?
Well, I mean, anyone can take the wealth dynamics profile. It's on, you know, you can just Google it, and it's normally $97. So you can go there and just do that, and you'll get a report. However, for me, what brought it to life for me and what I do now is offer a consultation around that. So I can administer the wealth dynamics profile for you and give you a consultation that shows you how to apply it to your business. So if anyone's interested in that, then they can just message me and I'll let them know.
Well, I definitely have quite a few clients of mine who ought to be as well.
And like I say,
that'd be such a gift, couldn't it? Just know what you're supposed to focus on for you. I mean, I guess that's the point, is how much more can you achieve if you're in flow doing what's the best way for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
And like I said at the beginning, you know, like with my clients, I don't teach them a particular way of marketing or selling or whatever. It's about, let's have a look at where you sit, what are your strengths, and what are the type of activities that will work for you. And this is why I'm not against blueprints per se, but you only want to follow someone else's blueprint if they are the same profile as you, because otherwise you're doing something that's going to take you out of flow. So
it resonates with you. Absolutely brilliant. Right, well, that's just over half an hour, Karen. Thank you for your time again. Even more value from you. Thank you so much.
It's been good fun. Thank you.
And I'll definitely take you up on that, because I definitely want to know my profile for sure, and start working out what I should be doing differently.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay.
Right, well, thank you so much for your time, and we'll catch up again soon.
Yeah. Thanks, Serena.
Thanks, Karen. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye.